exactly what I'm doing. We're doing this, 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 and this. And we're going to accomplish it, whether they like it or not. So you have a big scale of where you're all coming from and why you homeschool. That makes us all special. It makes variety. And with that, I want to say, you can do this. If I could do this, you can do this. You bring who you are to your family. You are unique. You are special. You are supposed to be the parent of your children. What I love about homeschooling was that I got to, I saw it maybe as a canvas. And your children are born and they come with their personality already there, but you add the colors to it. And each one's unique. What you do with this child, you might not do with this child. So you get to, as homeschooling, you get to have that more time than when they're in a public school. And the reason I homeschooled wasn't because I was opposed to public school. I just wanted to do it. Everybody has their reasons why they homeschool. Maybe they had a bad experience in public school. That's why you're homeschooling. Whatever the reason is, you have this time now. You get to invest. You get to choose whether you bring, your family values, which you will, your interests, which you will, your faith. That was big in our lives, to bring our faith into our homeschooling. So it's beautiful that you get to do this. I want to encourage you and say you can do this. And this school is great because you have these resource teachers who want to help you be successful. And my favorite was unit studies here with Mrs. Smith, the Magic School Bus. You got to think about the Magic School Bus. It is so much fun. And with that, homeschooling, you can choose to make it fun. The SAT tests are going to come. Everybody gets nervous. It's not about you. It's about your child. It's about you putting into your child who you are, and seeing the testing is just a reflection of where they're at. It's not a reflection of who they are or who you are, because you're unique and you are special. With that, sometimes homeschooling doesn't it reveals your weakness and your strengths, and it doesn't necessarily cause problems, it reveals problems. And those things you have to face, because they're with you all the time. And so you have to come up with who you are and how you're going to schedule a day or what you're going to do. But with that, the big picture is they're going to grow up, they're going to get married, and they're going to have children. And with that, my children are grown up now, and they are, Amber is 32, she lives in Portland, Oregon. She is married. I have 3 beautiful grandkids. Last year they adopted a baby from China, and my son-in-law built arms and legs, so they got a child without a right hand. And they're loving on him and caring for him. I was just there last weekend. I am blessed. And my son Dallas is in Arizona now. He's married. He is now just, I have to say this right, a house parent at a group home for foster kids. They have 5 girls right now. He quit his job to do this. I look at my children right there, and as parents we go, I am proud. I am proud of my kids. Yeah, I can take some credit. I was there. But a lot of it, I feel like with homeschooling, we were able to do a variety of things with our children in homeschooling. And I believe some of it had to do with the choices they've made now in their lives. My daughter, we went to Mexico a lot. We took our kids to build homes. We did field trips. We exposed them to a lot of things that you can't do when your child's in public school, because they're at school, but you can take them places. I just want to share this real fast. When my son, Dallas, was in 5th grade, my father got diagnosed with cancer very quickly, very fast. I was homeschooling. My daughter at that time was attending a homeschool Christian school that they had here in Tehachapi. So she was there more back and forth. But with Dallas, I had him home. And my father was very sick, very fast in Lancaster. So we spent hours, days, that whole 5th grade. All he did was read and math. That was it. And he loved on my dad. He had this gift of compassion. I saw it. He blessed my father. He did things for my father that the curriculum or the school books couldn't do. But life comes when you homeschool. So I looked at that, and of course, that end of the year, my father went to eternity, and we got to be there. And so then, in 6th grade, I thought, I'm going to have to hold Dallas back. He's going to have to repeat 5th grade. And I had to take the year off, so I actually put him in the Christian school for that 6th grade, and he was fine. And he went on to 7th grade, 8th grade. He went on to college. He graduated with a business degree. And I look at that, and I think, was that experience he had with his grandfather, with his gifting of compassion, now is what he's doing now. He has a degree in business, in business, but now he is fostering children for a year. They're doing it for a year. And I'm thinking, you don't know all the things. Homeschool is huge. I just want to encourage you, don't get stuck in 1st grade. Don't get stuck in 3rd grade. It's a big picture. So with that, I want to say, if you can do this, I can do this, you can do this. So just stay focused, enjoy this school. There's so many here that want to help you. And with that, I will introduce my wonderful husband.
I recorded it, I think. Okay, here we go. So, thanks. It's an amazing thing that I know like a third of you, and it's kind of scary that a third of you actually know me. Here we are. So I'm Doug Cowan, and the tagline for my private practice used to be turning chaos into beauty. And now I'm an old guy who likes to help people and I know stuff. So that's what we do now. So I have just a few things I want to share with you. They're big things. They're not really specific ways to teach or things to teach. We have resource teachers who are going to help you with that today. I have some bigger picture ideas that I'd love for you to jot down and remember. If you own a business, this stuff comes from business coaches, sports psychologists, a variety of people who help other people be more productive. And so it's what I try to share with all of my clients, especially when it comes to trying to help them to be more productive. So the first thing I want to share with you, I would like you to write this line down. Here it is. I taught a class for years for parents and teenagers together. We called it Navigating in the New World. And one of the key points that I made, 6-week class, parents and their teenagers coming together, talking about things like communication, looking at things like dating and how to prepare somebody for marriage and so on. We covered all of these topics. The one thing I thought was the biggest thud for parents, I'll just pass on to you. It's this: don't have higher expectations for your kids than you have for yourself. All right, let's move on. But I would encourage you to write that down, because often as parents we do. We think that our 9-year-old kid ought to be doing stuff that we excuse when we don't do it. So don't have higher expectations for your kids than you have for yourself. All right, so here we go. Here's the next thing. That was the first one. That was fast. Here we go. Performance equals potential minus interference. This is a classic formula for sports psychologists. This is important in everything that we do. This is helpful in every area of our life. That actual performance equals your potential, your student's potential, your athlete's potential minus interference. Now, where I first came across this was a sports psychologist talking about how coaches, because I coach baseball. So I've coached all my kids in baseball, and I coached at a university, and I coached at high schools for years, and I scouted for the Texas Rangers way back when I was young, and that stuff. Right? So I'm a baseball guy. So the sports psychologist comes out and says, coaches, you talk too much. Because why? When you're a kid, you train him in practice, he's in the batting cages, he's hitting the ball real good, and he gets in a game, why does he not perform to where you know the potential is? It's because, coach, you're in his head. So be quiet when he's hitting, or be quiet when he's pitching. Don't create interference. So we took this formula and we started applying it to business people, to pretty much every place. It applies to your homeschooling. Think about your student now. Well, first, let's think about you. You as the teacher of your student at home. Your performance as a teacher is going to equal your potential as a teacher minus interference. What kind of interference might you as a teacher have? The biggest one is doubt and fear that it's going to end up being okay. That's why I wanted Susie to share. It's going to be okay. Don't let that be part of the interference that gets in the way here. There may be other things like time constraints or not being prepared, not being ready. We'll talk about that in about 10 minutes. But this is a formula that's very important. It's simple. I can't make it any simpler than this. It's simple and it's powerful. Figure out for you what are the things that get in the way from your actual performance actually lining up with your potential. What is that interference? And then work on decreasing that, getting rid of that. You have two variables here. You can make the potential better. As you educate yourself, as you watch YouTube videos and training, there's great stuff out there. As you go to the seminars, as you meet with the resource teachers, as they help you walk through certain things, your potential goes up. You can increase potential. And as you look at what are these things that are getting in the way, really, you can unload those things. And then your performance increases, it improves, it goes up. Same with your students. What is getting in the way of them reaching their potential, performing at their potential? That's what the interference is. Identify it, deal with it. As Susie said earlier, homeschooling doesn't cause problems. Homeschooling just reveals the problems that are already there. Figure out what those problems are. Let's identify them. Let's work on them. So, here's the formula. Everybody got this? Pretty simple. Apply it to your business. Apply it to your work. Same formula. Apply it in any area of your life. So, our little church met a couple of weeks ago, and we have a home church. Next Sunday, not this Sunday. This Sunday we're meeting at the park at 10 o'clock. Next Sunday I'm speaking in groups. And when we met last time in our group, we talked about this in terms of just our spiritual life. What's our potential? And where do we actually perform? So what gets in the way? The point being, this applies to pretty much any area of your life. Just apply that formula, figure out the interference, improve the potential, move forward in life. So, that's the first thing. So we've got two things here, right? Don't have higher expectations for your kids than you have for yourself. You want your kids to be all self-disciplined and up at 7:01 a.m. every day, and then you know what? Don't sleep in. Don't have higher expectations for them than you have for yourself. And then this formula, very important formula in your life. All right, here's another simple one. You can come to my office, you can pay me a lot of money, and buy you things like this. It's great. But I try to simplify everything in life to make it as simple as possible and still have it be powerful. So here's the next one. That's a target. That's an arrow. So the word here is telos. Not that that matters, it's a word that I use. It's a Greek word. It means, what's the point? Telos, the point. It could be pronounced differently, but nobody speaks ancient Greek anymore, so I'm telling you it's pronounced telos. What's the point of an acorn? An oak tree, a mighty oak tree. When you see a mighty oak tree, we have a 300-year-old oak tree out in front of our house. What's the point of the acorn? 300 years from now, big old oak tree. So, what's the point is a fair question to ask in all kinds of things in your life. So I'll ask people who come in for marriage counseling, well, what's the point of your marriage? What's the point, really? And I get the whole list, and it's like, oh, really? That's the point? Can we work on this a little bit more? What's the point of your business, really? What is the point of your life, really? It'd be okay to spend 15, 20 minutes and kind of think this through in whatever area of your life you want to. What's the point of your marriage? The best answer to that I've ever heard is Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks. Used to be the chief rabbi in England, and he's now in Chicago. He's a brilliant writer. And he was invited to, this is for free, I'm giving you this for free. Exactly. He was invited to a conference of bishops and cardinals at the Vatican, a conference on marriage and family. And the irony of this, of course, is none of the bishops or cardinals had ever been married, so none of them would speak at the conference. So he invited a rabbi to come and speak about marriage and family. And he's brilliant, so it was a good call. And so when asked, what really is the point? One sentence, and everything that he said, there was one sentence that stood out, and that's to have love that brings about life. To have love of such quality that it brings about life. That's the point of marriage. So, whether that's life with children, or life in your spouse, or life in your community, is to have love of such a quality that it brings about life. So, that's what I write down for my clients. They think I'm smart. But what's the point? So, what's the point of homeschooling? Really? Now, the last time I spoke at a CHIA convention, that's a home education thing in Anaheim. It's a pretty cool conference. They would pay for Susie and I and the kids to stay at the Disneyland Hotel, and I would speak. Until I said this when I spoke. And the head of the CHIA convention was sitting right about over there. I had a complete lecture on kids and learning disabilities and blah, 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 and whatever. I talked about ADD, and I talked about helping your kids' performance, and I do all those things. Sideshow kinds of things. I heard the keynote speaker, and he came out talking about how homeschooling was so awesome because your kid could be the best 5-year-old reader in your neighborhood. Your 5-year-old homeschool kid could be the smartest 5-year-old in your community if you just dialed in when they were 4 and 5 years old. Like, seriously? That's the point? You want the smartest 5-year-old? So, I went back to my hotel room, I threw my notes away, and I started over. And I did my thing on what's the point. I had to do more with this, so I'm going to lay this out for you. What do you want your student to know when they're, I'm picking the number, 10. What do you want your student to know at 10 years old? Hold that thought. Don't go away. Well, what do you want your student to know at 15 years old? Grant's 15, starting at the high school, going to play baseball, he's hanging out with people that didn't get a chance to do this. It's a little bit different. Comes home every day and says school is boring. Okay, why?
He doesn't go here.
Doesn't go, no. This is all he has known in his life. And we're like shocked. Susie and I are shocked you guys are actually doing this without us. Because I'm not sure this has ever been done without us. So, But what do we want Grant to know at 15? What do you want your students to know at 15? Or at 25? What do you want them to know at 25? Or 55? Or 75? Who do you want them to be at those different stages in their life? Once you bust out of what you want them to know at 10, well, all of a sudden the emphasis isn't so much on the academics, it's on what? Character. Him as a person, his values, his integrity, his stick-to-itiveness. There's a better word than that than anybody.
Tenacity.
Grit. Oh, that's great. Tenacity. Way better word. So Susie gets to tell you that at 30 years old, Amber's raising $28,000 to adopt a kid and this in a hand out of China. Because she was convinced it was the right thing to do. So she did it, because it was the right thing to do. And Dallas is working at this group home for foster girls and quit his job in business to do this because he was convinced what? It was the right thing to do. So what are they going to know at 55? What's their character going to be? What are their values going to be? 75? When they start coming to the end of their life, what are they going to pass on to other generations? You can't do this at the high school. I cannot influence Grant during those hours that he's at the high school. I can't. I can only influence now when he comes home. What's the point of you homeschooling? And you figure this out for yourself. But I hope it includes influencing your student, your child, your son, your daughter, for all of these different parts of their life, these different stages in their life, their character, their values, their grit and tenacity, their ability to solve problems and not give up till it's solved. Whatever it is, you make that the point. And so when that's the point, then here's the next stick figure. You ready? So we have stuff that will come along that will distract us from the point that frankly has no value in accomplishing the goal. Stuff comes up all the time. We still got a teacher kid. He needs to know where Czechoslovakia is and who's the president of Russia. I mean, you got to know that stuff. But think about, look at your day as you're teaching and see how many things will come up that are not important at achieving this goal. Throw them out. Defer them till tomorrow. Work on them Saturday. But if they don't help you achieve this goal, don't do them. So, there. Any questions about that? Good. We're moving on. Let's do the next one. Everybody get to write down the stick figure? One of the highest paid business coaches in all of America. This will be a lesson from him. Again, stick figures. So this is a guy who makes somewhere in the vicinity of $3,000 an hour coaching business people stuff. And he draws little stick figures like this. So let me pass this on to him. How do you get from here to there? Wherever you are now in life, wherever your student is now in life, wherever your business is now, how do you get from here to wherever there is? And of course that has to do with what's the point and goals and whatever. But how do you do that? And his answer is, get this is slick for a guy that's paid that much money. His answer is, the difference between where you are now and where you want to be is 21 new habits. You will have to develop 21 new habits. He does not use the word self-discipline. he doesn't like it. Because when you start talking about self-discipline, you need to have more self-discipline. Then really, I'm imposing my values, how I think your life ought to be, onto you. So he doesn't do that. But he says we need to develop 21 new habits. That's all we need to do to get you from here to here. So this could be my sales are $1 million a year. I want them to be 10 million. Okay, we'll take them to $10 million. All you need is to develop 21 new habits. And the person will ask then the question of, all right. And he says, I don't know, let's figure it out. He gets paid money for this. I don't know. Let's start with the first one. What's the first one that you know you need to do? The new habit you know you need to do starting tomorrow. What is it? Typically it's I gotta get up early. Because that's a real issue. In order to get up earlier, here's the other part. You gotta go to bed earlier. So you got 2 new habits right there out of the 21. And the guy writes a check for $3,000. 21 new habits. Just keep that number in mind. Is it a real number? No. But is it important? Yeah. What are the new habits that you are going to have to develop in order to be successful at reaching the target that I've erased? After you define what that target is. What are the new habits you're going to have to create? Not your student. You are going to have to create. One of them, I guarantee you, is going to bed early so you can get up early. Early. Hey, you know what? I mean, this whole high school thing, we're getting up at like 5:30 to get on the bus. Do I miss homeschooling? How many of you, it's like 8:30, you ought to probably get up now. I'm enjoying my cup of coffee. I'm not sure I want to get up. Right? 5:30. Get out of the shower. You've got to get out of the shower. We've got a bus to catch. This is our new habit. All right, so this may not happen a lot of years. Yeah, the homeschool program at the high school.
You're 2 weeks in or something.
Yeah, we're like 10 days in. So anyway, so go to bed early is our new habit. Seriously, that's like 10 to 9. Never in my life does that happen. So, what are the new habits you've got to form? Probably around your schedule. We have a handout passed out earlier. Hope y'all. This is part of a morning routine that I would recommend becomes your second habit of the 21 new habits you'll need to form to be just awesome at doing what you want to do. The first one is you got to go to bed. The second one is to get up a little bit earlier. Now, I go over this with a lot of people. And higher expectations for your kids than you have for yourself. Try this for 1 month.